Well, hello everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our webinar on the road to acceptance. We're going to demystify online MBA admissions with three great programs. Let me introduce our guests today. We have from Boston University's Questrom School of Business, Aaron Butt, who's Associate Director of Online MBA Admissions. Hi, Aaron. From American University's Kogod School of Business, we have Jessica Page Inman, who's Associate Director of Admissions at Kogod in Washington, D.C. And from Johns Hopkins University Carey Business School, we have Shannon Dunn, the Director of Recruitment of Part-Time Programs. Welcome, everybody. So let's start with just like a general introduction about your school, because there are some people who may not know intimately, at least, what Boston University, American, or Johns Hopkins University is all about. These are three great universities in the United States. This is particularly true for international applicants who may not know too much about them. And one of the benefits of an online education, of course, is that you can pretty much take it from anywhere. So, Aaron, let's start with you in Boston University.
Sure thing. Hello, everyone. My name is Erin. I'm here today representing BU's Questrom School of Business, more specifically the Online MBA program as well. The Questrom School of Business is sort of a mid-sized business school. We serve about 2,500 students or so. That's both undergraduate and graduate, and have a suite of about 8 different graduate programs, including the Online MBA program. Our mission is creating value for the world. And I sort of think of that in a number of different ways. It can mean creating value for yourself and your growth, both personally and in your career. It can mean creating value for your community. Giving back and really making a difference in the lives of those around you, and then creating value for the world in a much larger sense, whether that be through your personal endeavors or your professional endeavors within your career. So we sort of infuse that into everything we do, in the curriculum we teach, in the experiential learning opportunities we provide, both in our on-campus and online programs, and just in taking advantage of the city of Boston around us, which is a very active city, both in terms of, I think, social issues and in terms of the industries that we strongly represent, such as healthcare, finance, and tech. So that is a little bit about Boston University and the Questrom School of Business.
Well done. Jessica, how about American University?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Jessica Page, Associate Director of Graduate Admissions. I work across all of our programs, but do specifically oversee our online programs. Kogod in particular at American University is located in Washington, D.C. It is the first university level business school in the D.C. area, and therefore also the oldest accredited business school in Washington, D.C. in the nation's capital. Our focus really has been 3 pillars: sustainability, analytics and AI, and then also entrepreneurship. For sustainability, we make sure that our curriculum is developed in a way that students can focus both on business and policy. It has a Page Prize winning curriculum. For AI and analytics, we infuse that throughout all of our programs, and that's really important for us, for students to have. We have a partnership with Perplexity that gives all of our students and faculty and staff Enterprise Pro. And then entrepreneurship is something that's really focused on both the undergraduate and the graduate level as well, and probably a really large certificate program that's pursued in all of those spaces. So I would say, like, we try to really embed ourselves in those 3 particular pillars, and that tends to be what attracts students to us.
Great. And then to Baltimore, Shannon, Johns Hopkins University.
So excited to be here. So our Carey Business School, we have 2 locations here in Baltimore where I am, but we also have our DC location as well. We have a variety of programs at the graduate business level, including our full-time MBA, our flexible MBA, as well as our specialized master's degree. Here at Carey, especially with our values, we're obviously for the business and health, within that Hopkins umbrella. So we really try to tie our programs about what impact can we make in the health landscape. But then we also have our other programs as well to focus in on if, let's say, you want to be outside of health. But we have, again, with our values, our boundless curiosity, being part of Hopkins, we want to be the first in, research and have these new ideas and, make all these impacts in the community, especially the world, but Baltimore, DC. We, unwavering humanity is something that we very pride ourselves on, being inclusive, again, with relentless advancement, we want to make sure that with, our STEM designated programs or with our new AI programs as well as curriculum, we are, bringing the best of the best to our students and having that tireless pursuit of excellence. We also want to make sure that we're advancing our society, again, going back to that research and collaborative leadership, and then just that pursuit of knowledge. We here at Carey have some great opportunities that I know we'll get into later, such as our leadership expeditions, our in-person opportunities such as residencies, where we can really do that and make an impact. So really excited to be here and can't wait to share more.
That's great. Now, one thing I might say about online MBA programs is that they're all very different from each other. Some require or offer in-residence sessions, some do not. Some are 100% online, some are more blended. Some offer a lot of live internet classes, some don't. So we want to get into how your online MBA programs differ. So Shannon, let's stay with you and you can talk a little bit about what Carey is doing in the online space.
I'd love to. No, thank you, John. So with our flexible MBA, just like you said, we do understand that our students sometimes want those in-person experiences, as well as not just in-person, but a way to connect with their classmates outside of an asynchronous classroom. So with our flexible MBA, starting off, we offer it in two modalities. Asynchronous as well as synchronous. Now, not all the classes have that synchronous option, but a majority do. So if you are someone during the fall and you're like, I'm really looking to be on Zoom with my classmates and see them and connect, not saying you won't have that in asynchronous, but it's a little different when you can see them on Zoom. We have that. We also, within our flexible MBA, offer in-person experiences. Those are residencies where you can come to our amazing Baltimore location and be with your class. We also offer 2 accelerated courses, which I really love. Those are a standout with our alumni. You will come in for 3 days and complete. We offer for 2 classes a class, but it's very busy. It's Friday to Sunday, but again, a place where you can be in person. We also have those leadership expeditions you can apply to and take advantage of, where you're really focused on leadership skills building. So again, we want to make sure that we offer both and that we're flexible. Again, here at Carey, we call it the flexible MBA for a reason. We want to provide those options to our students.
So you can do more online or less online depending on what your own personal preferences and schedule is, right?
Yeah, so the classes not necessarily, we don't have it where you can come in and take a class in person, but we do have that synchronous piece, and then we do have the residency. So we want to bring that balance. So, and we do that too because we understand times of the year are different, right? I know for me, I think of, family life. Sometimes it's really busy. So it might need that asynchronous component, but then sometimes, I would really love to be in Zoom where I can do this residency or this accelerated course. And then those expedition opportunities are outstanding as well.
Yeah, and we'll get into that in a little bit
Yes.
for sure, because I'd like to know more about that myself. Now, Jessica, how is the Kogod online degree structured?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a blend of asynchronous and synchronous courses. And I really love that every online MBA program has a different format. And so that way it makes it so students have a variety of options to fit or find the program that's the best fit for them. Because
So
then
true.
our asynchronous and online is slightly different, right? So we do require that students log in every week in a live session with their cohort. We also find that we have a hybrid option that our students, especially local to the DMV area, will take advantage of. And so they can either go into class or they can be online. And so it allows them to have that continuity regardless of the modality they choose. And then we really lean into the 6 specialized master's degrees that we offer. We have 7 specialized focuses. One is also consulting, which is a specialized master's in itself, that allows students to have that breadth in the elective space. And then we do require what we call immersion. So kind of similar to that residency feel where you do have to be in person. And again, really leaning into that networking opportunities and building on to the classroom experience. Those immersions can either be in the US, on campus, in a US city or destination, or they can be outside of the US. So, in the past 2 years, we've gone to London, South Africa. We've also been to Northern Ireland, Tokyo, Seoul. And so students have the opportunity to choose. When they're inside the US, they typically are about 3 days and over a weekend. So it makes it a bit more manageable, especially if you're navigating priorities, as Shannon mentioned, family life and work and all those pieces. For the international ones, they do tend to be during the week. They're meant to be case-based, but also really live, hands-on client projects. And so we want to make sure that they're able to get in their site visits, interact with alumni. And we find that's a touch easier in the international space when it's during the week, and really accessible in the US when it's done over the weekend as well. So live classes, the immersion opportunities that students are able to pursue. And then there are also consulting projects that they can apply to participate in when they're in the program as well.
In the shortest time to complete the program, and the longest time would be what?
Shortest time is technically 12 months. I always say with competing priorities, that's a bit tough. So I recommend about 15 months on the shorter end. Longest time, they technically have up to 5 years. On average, our students complete it within 2 years.
And Shannon, I forgot to ask you that question. So what's it like at Carey?
So our flexible MBA, it can be done in 2 years, but I would say the average, I think Jessica said it, it's a little tough to do 2 years. So I would say 3 is what we see our graduates completed in.
And you can stretch it out to 5?
Yes.
Right, which is great flexibility because we all know
Exactly.
professional and personal responsibilities often get in the way and make part-time studenting difficult. So it's wonderful to be able to stretch something or to condense it to get it done more quickly. Erin, give us the nuts and bolts about the Questrom Online MBA, which is quite different.
Absolutely. Was just going to say, so in designing the Questrom Online MBA, which is a fairly new program, we're just turning 5 this year, we were sort of aiming to fill a market gap, both in terms of our curriculum structure, not to say that there aren't other modular structures, of course, but both in who our program was designed for and the way that we wanted to marry that student audience with the way the curriculum was designed. So we are very much a program designed for mid-career professionals, an average of 12 to 13 years of experience. And to sort of mirror the way that those students, those mid-career learners, are conducting business in everyday life, we wanted to design an interdisciplinary and modular curriculum. So rather than taking all of your individual courses in, marketing, accounting, finance, operations, all of those different things, we sort of taken all of those core classes of an MBA and elements of elective curriculum within an MBA and fuse them together into these 6 modules. So all OMBA students at Questrom take the same 6 modules, and you sort of have the ability to put what you are learning into practice in the same way you are practicing it in your career every single day. There is a mix of both synchronous and asynchronous learning. Again, we really want to maintain that sort of face-to-face element that we feel is so important in an MBA experience, as well as teaming, which we put a pretty heavy emphasis on. So I'll address both of those things just real quickly. The synchronous component of our program is the live sessions. Those happen once a week. Students are not required to attend every single week, though. We know that life is very busy. People have families and other commitments. So usually students will be expected to attend about half of them throughout the semester. And then the weeks that you're off, you will still be expected to watch the live session, but just on your own time. And then the asynchronous component of our learning is going to be what you'd sort of expect, some individual assignments, studying, reading, posting, on discussion forums and things like that. And then we do also require sort of small team-based capstone projects for each of the 6 modules, which not only means that you get to become super close with, a few people in the program throughout your tenure there, but you also walk away from the program with 6 deliverables, which is pretty impressive. We do not at this time offer any sort of externships or residential experiences. We're hoping to offer those in the future, but one very exciting sort of on-campus opportunity is our graduation ceremony, which many students, OMBA graduates, fly out from all over the world. We host a lovely brunch. They get to meet their professors and classmates for the first time. And then there is a lot of networking that happens through our affinity groups. Those are basically just like regular clubs or organizations you would find at any university. Many of them are geographically based, so pretty much in any major metro area in the domestic US, or even some places abroad. You can find an OMBA affinity group of students who will want to get together, form study groups, have social events, networking events, and those are all student run and student led and very active. perspective as well. So although we don't have any sort of structured residential opportunities at this time, our OMBA students are very eager to stay connected and get engaged and meet their fellow classmates. And I'd say the affinity groups is probably the most popular way to do that.
And yours is a cohort-based program, right?
That's correct. So everyone will start within a sort of cohort. So our upcoming cohort will be cohort 11. And then from there, people do kind of split off as our timeline is quite large and flexible, anywhere from 2 to 6 years to complete that. And many students will take leaves of absence, which is very normal and encouraged to do to sort of fit this program into your life rather than the other way around.
Right. Good. Okay. So, Aaron, let me ask you this. One of the concerns that I think a lot of candidates have when they're looking at online programs is they think they have to make major sacrifices in terms of the relationships that they develop with faculty and with their fellow students. What can you say to basically, rebut that concern?
Yeah, absolutely. I completely understand how that could be a concern. I think as we start to become more and more remote, it can feel isolating in some ways, but also I think it expands your reach and your network that much more. When designing the Questrom Online MBA, we really wanted to quell that concern and make it as high touch of a program as possible for the students. So we've basically let that bleed into every aspect of the program, both with the student engagement and the teaming, as I mentioned. So you'll be formed in small teams every single semester. So you're never going to be working in isolation at any point throughout the program. We have a dedicated student success team consisting of student success specialists, our executive director for the OMBA student experience, and our senior director for the OMBA student experience. So every student is assigned a student success specialist from the time they start the program to the time they graduate. So there is always someone looking out for you who is there to support you through any struggles in the program, so that you have someone to turn to if you're not sure where to go. And then in terms of the academic
To
side
give
of
you a
it,
nudge. Sometimes you need a nudge, right?
exactly. We have designed it to make it pretty hard for any student to fall through the cracks in this program. And that was by design. We don't want anyone to fall through the cracks, and especially given the scope of our program, it is quite large. We have just about 2,000 enrolled students at any given time. We don't want anyone to fall through the cracks or feel that they're going through this MBA experience in isolation. So we are a very high touch program in that sense. We also have, to support our teaching team of faculty members, what are called learning facilitators. These are industry experts. They're not TAs, they're not students. They many of them have MBAs themselves, even PhDs and doctoral degrees, and they are there to provide subject matter expertise in the modules and in the learning experience for our students. We also have multiple professors teaching every single module. Because they are interdisciplinary in nature, they of course call for interdisciplinary perspectives. So we have anywhere from 2 to 6 faculty members teaching in every single module, which means you're not getting less faculty exposure than you would in an on-campus program, which I think is excellent as well.
And Jessica, how would you address the concern over whether or not I'll get to know my classmates in an online program?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for students who need sort of that flexibility of asynchronous, that could work really well for them. I think a lot of the students who enter into the Kogod program, they're wanting that synchronous opportunity to be able to connect with faculty live, to connect with their students live. They're still leaning into the client projects as well. They also really like the idea of office hours and coming to that as a group. I think often sometimes there are students in their sort of work experience that they find they work better in teams in the live format. And there are some students that we have in the program who their projects and their work life at home leads to be a bit isolating. And so that they find that online space with that synchronous learning platform as a way for them to really, again, build their network while not having to physically be on campus as well. I think the immersions really lead into that. And so they're able to not use their projects from work and they can apply them towards the immersions or the class topical information. But then they also spread that network across the different program specialized masters that we offer. So students in the immersions are able to engage with our international relations and business master students. They also engage with like our analytics students as well. And so not only are they expanding their network through the live courses, but also in the in-person opportunities. And that's often the highlight of their experience. And so having that same thing, that feeling of like meeting your faculty at graduation, they're meeting them in the virtual space, they're seeing them again in the immersion. And then that's really that culminating experience at the end for graduation of like, yes, I completed this. And they're really excited for that. We do bring in industry experts into the classroom. I think one of the things that Erin mentioned that was fantastic is that co-leading opportunity. We have our associate dean who teaches a supply chain class and is co-led with another individual in the supply chain space who's currently an industry expert. So really building on that in the live session. So I really think it's a matter of your learning style and choosing which option is the best fit for you and that accountability and engagement too.
Right, exactly. And Shannon, I'm thinking those leadership expeditions lead to some significant bonding among classmates.
Oh, definitely. I mean, our global immersions, our leadership exhibition, you're with that group. Again, I wouldn't say it's a cohort because it's one experience, but again, it's a small group. So I would say for our flexible MBA, that's a standout for our alumni in terms of really connecting with their classmates. Again, those accelerated courses, those 3 days are another one. I actually, a couple weeks ago was speaking to an alumni and he's like, I still, connect and keep in touch with his classmates, especially that he was with over that weekend. In terms of our faculty as well, we host, even prior to starting the program, we have information sessions virtual. That our faculty members will sometimes join so people can, prospective students can see this is, our faculty, this is, they're going to talk to you about like what the program is like. So they can really firsthand see the faculty, engage with the faculty. Our faculty love our students. They love our prospective students. They're always excited to meet and chat through more. Even being an online program, there are office hours. However, if you are an online student here at Carey, you are still welcome to come in, meet in person. So we do not limit our students based on the modality that they're taking. We want to have that face-to-face interaction. And then again, it's the synchronous piece helps too, as well as even the asynchronous. I loved what Jessica said and similar, we still want you to log on. We're still staying close. We still want those assignments to come in and to, Erin's point, we really do like to have that high touch experience throughout the program. Our advising team's amazing. We have standard social events that we host every month that are open to our online students so they can come into Baltimore or DC and network and meet with other students. So a lot of opportunity here.
So I wonder, in terms of career support, what each of the programs offers, and if you might even talk a little bit about student outcomes. Some schools put together stats that show the percentage of the graduates who received a promotion or a pay increase during the time that they were in the program or shortly thereafter, and even data on how many people were able to change jobs, whether within the company or within the industry. Shannon, let's start with you again.
So I'll start with the career piece first, and then I definitely can share some data. Here at Carey, we have an amazing career and life design team. One thing that stood out for me is they support you past graduation. So obviously when you're within the program, you have them as a coach, you have your sessions, it's via Zoom, and they really get to know you first. They, tell us what we can do, because with our flexible MBA students, it could be different needs. It could be, I'm looking to move into a leadership role, or I'm a career changer. I'm looking to go into a completely different field, or, I am just a lifelong learner and I love, so we really make sure with our coaches, they always do that, kind of first, like tell us what we can do to support you. And then we design the coaching based on that. The great thing about that resource is past graduation, you still have access. So let's say 5 years, I finish my program 5 years from now, I'm a people leader and I'm like, I really need help finessing this skill, or I am looking to apply to a new job and I really need like that just interview help me prep. You still have access to those services. And I can tell you, working with them on a day-to-day basis, phenomenal. Blown away by their expertise and their coaching. To your point, John, about statistics and just kind of, outcomes of, students, I can tell you, for our flexible MBA program, our class of 2024, our students report 76% of them reported receiving a salary increase, while 55% received a promotion. So again, we're really working hard so that when our students leave here, they feel ready for that promotion or to ask for that salary increase or to move into that role. And I think those outcomes speak for themselves. So very proud of that.
Great. Jessica, what does Kogod do for career support for students?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a career services team that's broken out between industry specialists or engagements. So I just had a session with them, so I want to make sure to get their titles correct. Industry engagement, and then also career advisors. And you can work with either of those if it's a matter of what you're looking to do. If it's career coaching, if it's strategy, you go to the advisors. They're very hands-on, they're industry experts that you can choose. They use this tool called 1220. We used to use Handshake, but moved into 1220 because it is more focused on business school and some graduate education and business level roles, mostly specific to the MBA, but also some specialized master's programs because they have a sister platform as well. So they have career resources that they can use virtually on campus. There's coaching. A lot of our career coaches will focus on the gap assessment first. So what skills are you coming in with? What is your end goal? What are the skills you need to fill while you're in the program? Salary negotiation, if you're looking to make that transition while you're pursuing your degree, they'll resume prep, interview prep. They are invited to career fairs, both in person. We try to also host them virtually for our students as well. Or we find career fairs that are outside of the DMV for our students who are not local. So the career advising team is fantastic. We also have industry engagement specialists. And so those are individuals who are kind of mining for those roles and developing those relationships with employers. Oftentimes, our students will go to them if there's a certain company that they're eyeing to talk about the recruitment process. What does this look like for them? Do we have any alumni here? Who would you recommend I speak with? So our students are really doing those two things in parallel. And career services always talks with them about a plan A and a plan B that they should be pursuing simultaneously while they're in the program. And I really love that because they do that for both full-time MBA and online MBA students. And I think oftentimes with the online MBA program, students are wondering kind of, am I getting the same resources as a traditional full-time MBA student, essentially? So I think that's extremely helpful. We always encourage them to get in early and often. Do not wait until the end of your time in the program to have those conversations with career. They are able, again, to make those transitions while they're in the program. Our students reported at almost a 30% increase in their salary within 6 months of graduation. So the really nice thing about the online program in comparison sometimes to a full-time MBA is that you're still working, you still have that source of income, and oftentimes you're getting promoted and having that salary increase as you're moving through the program.
True, and you could apply what you learn immediately on the job, and maybe even bring some of your challenges to the program to work on with your classmates and faculty, which is also, it's like free consulting. Erin, how does Questrom approach career support?
Sure. So for the online MBA, again, we are serving a sort of different population of students, our mid-career professionals who have sort of different needs when it comes to, I think, comprehensive career services. So for that reason, our program does not offer comprehensive career services. We're usually pretty upfront about that, always pretty upfront about that. That does not mean there are no career supports or networking opportunities in our program. That is absolutely not the case. Networking happens quite organically in our program, again, because of how high touch it is, and also because of the caliber of students that you find in our program. Because we are a mid-career program, many of the students in our OMBA community are directors, VPs, even C-suite level individuals. And the person that could help you move along in your career is maybe the person next to you in the Zoom room, right? Or in your team. And because our students are highly motivated to network through those affinity groups and through some of the events that our student success team puts on, they really get out of it what they put into it, I think. So in terms of other sort of institutional and program related supports, we do offer our students all membership to Handshake. We offer other online resources through the BU sort of suite of softwares and things like that. I know one of our student success specialists right now is working on developing different career workshops for our OMBA students, which is very exciting. And then OMBA students are part of the larger Questrom and BU community, and that ties into the alumni network as well. So we are 53,000 strong at Questrom. We are almost 350,000 strong at BU, and the entire suite of resources and perks that comes with BU and Questrom alumni status applies to the OMBA alumni status as well. We also have our assistant director of student success who is working on a lot of different alumni initiatives specifically for the OMBA community, which is very exciting to sort of build that out as we are a newer program, just graduated our first class about 3 years ago. So that is all very exciting. And then in terms of outcomes, we were able to survey students recently, and 70% of them said that they were able to attribute either a salary increase or promotion to the OMBA program, which is very exciting.
Terrific. Now, all three of your programs here offer full-time MBA options as well. And I wonder if each of you can role play with me. So you're the coach, and I'm going to be the candidate. And I have no clue. Should I really go into the full-time MBA program or should I do the online option? What are some of the things I should be thinking about to help me decide? Erin?
Sure. The first thing I'm going to ask you, John, is what are your career goals? So what are the short-term and long-term career goals looking like? And particularly because our full-time MBA curriculum and online MBA curriculum are designed quite differently, I'm going to ask you to think about, do you want to spend 14 weeks going very in-depth into each of these subjects, or do you want to spend roughly, a semester going through each of the core classes in sort of a more integrated fashion? So how is the curriculum design best going to suit your learning needs and your goals? The second thing is take a look at the class profiles, right? We have it, I guess, almost easier at Questrom in the sense that our MBA candidates and profiles are pretty clearly delineated, given that we're a mid-career program. So I'm going to ask you to think about the quality and quantity of your work experience and what you're bringing forth as an applicant, as those populations for Questrom are going to look quite different. And the last thing I'm going to ask you to think about is, what do you want your MBA experience to look like? Do you want to have the full suite of career resources? Do you want to have the opportunity to customize your MBA curriculum? Is that really important to you, to access our specializations and our career pathways within the curriculum portfolio? Or do you want to have sort of a set curriculum that is sort of pre-prescribed for you, but is going to very closely mirror how you're conducting your career every day? And that, I think, sort of allows students to maybe better parse out and also, do you want to leave your day job? That's a big question as well. Our online MBA is a part-time program by nature, and most full-time programs do not allow students to hold a full-time job at that same time. So that is a big consideration as well, both from a just day-to-day consideration and a financial and practical perspective as well.
So let me tell you that right now I feel frustrated in my job and I want to pivot out of the company in the industry and do something completely different. Which option should I choose?
Yeah, I would say, to be totally transparent, check out the Questrom full-time MBA. We love having students in OMBA, but we want to counsel you to the best program that fits your goals and your needs. And that would probably be the full-time MBA or the part-time MBA if you happen to be based in New England. That is a hybrid flex program and does allow for commuters or people who live in the New England region to do some online coursework and then some on-campus coursework. So really just depends what you're looking for, where you're located, and what your ultimate goals look like.
Yeah, so true. Now, Jessica, you mentioned earlier some of the differences and advantages of online programming. What would your advice be to me?
Yeah, I think Erin did a really good job of walking through the steps that honestly, that's what an admissions individual should do. It really starts with your career. That's the end goal, is what do you want to do after you graduate? Where do you foresee yourself 5, maybe 10 years? And I think Shannon touched on too, like the alumni services, right? From a career perspective. And so not only what do you see yourself doing while you're in the program, shortly after the program, but then coming and seeing, okay, you might need some additional assistance once you've graduated. I think maybe leaning into 2 additional points would be that transition that you mentioned. And so really understanding, what is it that you would like to do after you graduate? What are you currently doing? And what do you need to get there? I think the traditional 2-year MBA program is oftentimes a really good fit for those students who are looking to make a pivot, because you have that clear break in your resume, you have that internship in the summer, and hopefully that leads to your full-time position. The online MBA program is great for students who are looking to stay in the same function or stay in the same industry, progress within their career, So really working backwards. And so I often tell people, look at some ideal roles, some ideal companies you would like to look for. What does that look like? Assess your skill set and what you have now. And do you think you need to have a clear break and step away and move into a full-time program? Or can you continue to make this transition while you are pursuing the program at the same time? I think the other piece that a lot of times I ask students to consider is financing, right? And so what does it look like for you to cover the cost of a program potentially? What scholarships are offered in the online space? Oftentimes online programs don't offer full tuition scholarship, but full-time programs potentially can. Do you want to continue to earn a salary while you're in the program? What if you are pursuing an online program and let's say you do get some form of scholarship and you have a tuition payment, what does that look like on a monthly basis? So you can compare that to your income and also thinking about the savings piece before coming in. So I would say leaning into the career, which is first and foremost, because that's the primary motivator for this degree, but then also starting to think of some of those more practical points around financing your degree as well.
Yeah, all great points. Erin and Jessica, you did such a great job answering that question. I don't know if there's anything left for Shannon.
Okay, I
Is there,
mean,
Shannon?
yeah, they had great answers. I would say the only thing I could add, truly, I mean, amazing answers, and I would echo both, would be if you were really torn, you're unsure, talk to people who are in the program. I think, and I'll speak for Carrie, but I'm sure our, Jessica and Aaron, your schools are similar. Connect with an alumni ambassador or both and just hear what they have to say. Have that organic conversation. I think sometimes those conversations will fill in any little bit of gaps after all those, the steps that they shared. Carrie, we have the chance we can connect you with an alumni from our full-time or a part-time, just to really, again, if you're really on the fence, to hear the experience, to kind of fill in the gaps. If you're kind of, I think, what Aaron said, looking at the profile, if you're kind of in that sweet spot, like really see what each experience was, what they got out of it, what they're doing now, their why, because sometimes their why could be connected to yours and kind of, again, have that final, I guess, like, aha, like this is the one, this is the modality I need to take.
Yeah, good point. Always helpful to talk to people who are either in the program or have recently
Yes,
graduated and in fact are pursuing a career that's similar to yours. You can get a lot of advice and make a really good connection. Here's
definitely.
a question I really love to ask actually students when I visit a campus and I go to a nearby bar and we share a beer. I ask them, what are the three things you'll most remember about your program that may very well resonate throughout your entire life? And Shannon, if I were to sit down with your online MBA students, what would they tell me?
Oh, the three things. I'm only limited to three.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I would say the faculty, 100%, without a doubt. Are again, I meet with alumni who still connect with their faculty. Faculty bring them in to speak in classes. I think that connection and the investment is amazing. I would say too, I would lean in here. I'm gonna try to shake it up because I want Jessica and Aaron to share too. The in-person experiences that they took advantage of if they could. Again, I think they come to the online flexible MBA for that flexibility in the online, but being able to kind of have those spots within the program really are standout. And then I gotta say commencement. I think that is just, you're never gonna forget crossing that stage, being with your classmates, being with your family or your friends in that moment. And we really work hard to make it such a special day for our graduates. So I would say, I know it's a little bit of a cheat because it's the end of the program, but I still count it in the program experience.
Oh, sure. I think that's got to be a highlight. Jessica,
Yes.
your three things for Kogod?
The immersions are hands down the number one
Yes.
experience. Whether they participated within the US or outside of the US, I will say the ones outside of the US are pretty memorable experiences for our students, especially if you're sitting down and chatting with a beer. And our students went to Northern Ireland. And so they were having those conversations in person. We had a networking event this past weekend, and our online MBA students were talking about that experience in particular. Hands down, the immersions. I would say next is the classroom experience. I think Poets and Quants in particular, we were rated number 3 for the class experience for our students. And I think that ties into their faculty, that ties into the community, the conversation that they're having as well. I think the other piece really is career services. Like the Kogod has done a fantastic job of doubling down on that particular investment. And I think recognizing that, again, whether you're a full-time MBA student or an online MBA student, there is a particular outcome that you are hoping for. And so to know that they have career embedded into the program, that they have them as a resource, they often call out their career coaches, especially during the commencement phase, because they're finished, but they're also walking away with, again, either that promotion, that salary increase, or potentially that new job as well. But immersions, hands down, is what comes up the most often.
Cool.
If I
Erin,
can, John, I was
yeah,
gonna say the
Erin.
immersions are always like the first,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, when we talk to students, ours are, Jessica, I know you're sharing some of your, ours are Belize and, Norway, and that's, you hear about that, and they always are one of the first things. So,
Yeah, makes sense.
yeah.
Erin, your 3 things at Questrom?
Sure. The first one for OMBA students is sort of a funny one, and I'm going to say it's Module 2. And if you're an OMBA student, you know what that means. It's our Managing Performance with Data mod, which tends to be the most feared mod across the board because it's the quantitative heavy module. Most students go in dreading it, and then it ends up being their favorite module. So any Questrom OMBA student you talk to, you say Mod 2, they go, oh my gosh. They know what it means. They know the significance. That's taught by Professor Jay Zagorski, who's one of our most beloved professors at Questrom. And then I think the second thing would be the capstone projects. I think those really push our students in a way that they don't necessarily expect, and almost always for the better. I think they learn to really work in teams in a way that, they may not have even thought that they could. Most of these people have worked in teams for many years, but it pushes them in a new way, I think, or at least maybe in a way that they haven't been pushed in quite some time. And again, just walking away with those 6 deliverables. The Mod 2 capstone is creating sort of a data dashboard or operational dashboard to improve some sort of process within your workplace. And people do that individually. Actually, it's one of our few non-teaming based ones. And most people end up implementing those in their actual workplace. So I think not only the experience of getting to do those capstones, but the ROI of just being able to immediately apply those, students are really pleased with and look back fondly on. And just those teams. Again, I know people in their Mod 1 capstone teams who still meet up regularly in, I think, Philadelphia and like get together on a semi-annual basis. So that's quite special. And then I think just that tying into that piece, the third thing would be the community. And that seems like a cop-out, but I think in an online program, people are always so pleasantly surprised by how close-knit our OMBA community is and how proud people are to be OMBA students at Questrom. Having worked in admissions for some time now, they are the proudest population of people I've ever met. Like the identity of being an OMBA student is so special. I think part of that comes with the fact that, we offer the same exact degree that our residential MBA students offer, are offered. It's an MBA from Boston University. So wearing that, I think, is a very strong badge of pride, but just that the accomplishment of being a full-time working professional with personal commitments and families and being a caretaker and then overcoming this incredible not overcoming, but achieving this incredible accomplishment side by side with your peers, I think is just such a special experience. And again, culminating in graduation, getting to celebrate that in person is something that I think all of our students always remember. So
True enough. Now, Erin, how can a candidate either get in touch with you or a member of your team and follow up?
absolutely. You can reach out to us via email at omba@bu.edu. That's just OMBA@bu.edu.
Jessica, how do people find out more about the Kogod program?
Yeah, absolutely. You can reach us at Kogod Grad. So Kogod is Kogod, and then grad, like a graduate program, GRAD at american.edu. And anyone on our team is happy to help. They'll usually point you in my direction, but anyone on our team is happy to help.
Perfect. Shannon at Carey?
You can reach us via email at carey.admissions@jhu.edu. And again, that's CAREY.admissions. I'm also happy to be connected with individually. Again, it's just Shannon Dunn here on the screen at jhu.edu. And then, of course, LinkedIn. But we are always here and excited to support.
And let me say that each of the schools have great websites and great sections that really explore and detail all that you need to know about their online MBA options. And you'll see each school approaches this very differently. Which is wonderful because it does give you a lot of choices. So I hope this is really helpful for you. I want to thank Erin, Jessica, and Shannon for all the great information they provided. Check out Boston University's Questrom School of Business, American University's Kogod School of Business, and Johns Hopkins Carey Business School for those online MBA degrees. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Thanks for watching.